Everyone, welcome to the Sonically podcast where music creators educate music creators. I'm Elmo. In today's episode, we have the privilege of diving into the creative world of an artist whose musical journey is as intriguing and vibrant as the stage name suggests. Emerging from the vibrant city of Manchester, this person has captivated audiences worldwide with his unique blend of indie pop and electronic music, a sound that defies the conventional boundaries of genre. His discography, including the critically acclaimed tracks Daydreamer, Desk Chairs on the Moon, and the massive collaboration Middle with DJ Snake, speaks volumes of his versatility and ability to connect with listeners across the globe. Beyond the music, his commitment to authenticity and his journey of self-discovery and expression make him a fascinating figure in the music industry. Today, we'll peel back the layers of the artist known as Bipolar Sunshine, exploring the stories behind the songs, the inspirations that fuel his creativity, and the future aspirations of this remarkable musician. So without further ado, let's welcome singer, songwriter, and poet Bipolar Sunshine to the show. Welcome.
Welcome, thank you. That was a really nice introduction. Thanks, Omar.
We work hard on those.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't too hard for you because you do have such an amazing catalog, an amazing sort of body of work that we're just super impressed by. And I'm not sure if Nikki told you the mandate of what we do is just really to look at the lens of experienced music creators and kind of go through very special moments in your journey so that we can pass on some of that wisdom and knowledge and just love to the future generations of music creators. And we really, really appreciate you being on here to talk with us and sharing your story with our audience today. Just to, I guess, rewind back, did you grow up with music in your life?
Yeah, music was a huge part of my life. Growing up, my dad was a drummer. My mum played a lot of different styles of music in the house, and I think that was, for my formative years, very influential, from reggae to the Carpenters and just a full mixture and array of music. And then growing up in Manchester, where we would say electronic music, indie music was synonymous, hearing that constantly, but then evolving myself into different other styles and catching them on. I think that Manchester, for me, is the reason why I have a different juxtaposition when it comes to writing on, especially on dance music.
Interesting. What is it about Manchester that does that? I know there's a specific culture there. There's a smell in the air. There's a vibe.
Yeah.
What is it about Manchester that was really able to sort of curate this the colors of your music?
So even to take that from the name why I called myself Bipolar Sunshine, is that is known for always raining, always being a bit wet, just always a bit on that fog. And that's why I even called myself Bipolar Sunshine, to almost represent where I was from and to be that light at the end of the tunnel, which was the vibe. So Manchester growing up, and just in general, the people are super friendly, and it allowed me to flourish and look at different genres in a very, I would say, a safe space. I had many different friends from all different walks of life, and I think that's a great recipe for self-discovery, is when you're placed into certain situations that you have to, overcome. I went to a school called Parswood High School, which is a mixed school, and I think that really set the basis of my understanding. Then going out into Manchester and just being around so many really cool musicians. I had a studio which was in the hub of Manchester. Most Fridays and Saturdays, most musicians and top people would come into my studio. I shared with this guy called Jazz Purple, and we might have like 50 to 60 people in a corridor that we would just be playing music and seeing if songs work. And it was a really exciting time to be around, and just growing up in Manchester, then having the studio, and then having some sort of success and building up from there, um, really shaped my viewpoint.
Yeah, that's interesting. And you had mentioned school as well.
Yeah,
For myself, I actually discovered the process of creating music in a class called Music Composition 101, where they had some keyboards and it was connected to a PC that had Cakewalk on it. What about you? Did was there a specific moment where you maybe went from playing music to discovering the process of creating, or was that just sort of like this organic thing that just happened, just hanging out with your friends and stuff?
well, my first entry point was poetry. So I came in writing poems, and I can remember being maybe like 12, 13. We went on a trip to Jamaica, and there was this thunderstorm outside, and my mum just said, just stay in and write, just do some. And I can remember writing these poems, and then out of the boredom, I started to sing them. And as soon as I realized that I could do that combination, and then I just started applying melody, it all felt like a snowball effect of, oh, so that's how you do it. Oh, and everything just started to click and just jump out at me. And then by the time I got back into writing, the first lyrics I actually really wrote like that to melodies was to garage music. I was in a group called Night Riders in Manchester and would play all over the place. And I remember my friend called Pharaoh who came round to my house, and he was a rapper, and he was pretty blown away by the lyrics and stuff that I was writing. I think like those were the very key moments that triggered me to continue and then to build from there. So that was how I really formulated putting tracks together. And because I didn't play an instrument, I wrote and continue to still write the songs in my head first. And then I put them down.
Hmm. When you, well, I guess I have a two-part follow-up. When you first started writing those poems,
Yeah.
what was some of the subject matter that you would write about at 12, that where maybe you would show your mom or whoever like was around you at that time that really gave you encouragement, like, man, this is pretty good.
Yeah, I think my mum was the first one who gave me the encouragement. I can remember writing a poem about some girl I met in Jamaica, and it wasn't even true. I think I just made up some story, made up some random story. And one was like, "Oh, that was pretty good," and I can remember thinking, "Oh, was it pretty good?" And I think like just that beginning confidence of, "Oh, I can actually write this." Then there was another key moment, which for me to sing, there was this girl called Anika Johnson in my class, and she just one day she got up. I think it was raining outside, so we wanted to stay inside. And she got up and she started singing the Fugees, and then everyone just started singing the Fugees. And then for some reason, when it all stopped, I just broke into singing one like a line from Michael Jackson. Really knocked me off of my feet now, baby. I went crazy,
Yeah.
and then I stopped, and I was thought to myself like, Adele, you really just did that. What did you just do? Then I was like, oh, that was pretty good. And I was like, oh, was it? Oh, cool. You know what I mean? It was like a funny moment where I just felt that the urge to do it, and then it kind of really just brought me into it. And that's what was really my musical journey, is just being allowing myself to be in rooms and spaces where I feel comfortable to express myself. I think that's a main thing within music.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah,
When you are behind the mic and
yeah,
making top lines, especially in those early days, did you feel those influences coming through you? I mean, like you mentioned Michael Jackson, but like when you're creating your own melodies, do you feel these
yeah,
like Carpenters and whatever your parents were listening to around the house? Do you feel that
yeah.
that?
I feel like I didn't naturally feel it because I was listening to so much different stuff. So I obviously was influenced by so much, but I didn't feel it at the time. But if I went back to listen back to some of the old stuff, I could see and sense that, oh, this is where you were kind of having like an early Oasis days, and this is where you were kind of having there's these little stages that you feel in your discovery, then that you can hear within the writing and the and the singing. I can almost hear that still now with songs I've written 6, 7, 8 years ago. I can hear where I was. Like I know what type of place I was in to be writing those type of songs.
Nice, nice. Um, so fast forwarding a little bit, after discovering the process of creation and then getting some accolades from friends and then achieving initial success, and then fast forwarding to now where there's been so many key moments of success. Looking back, what were some of the hardest moments in your journey to becoming a renowned artist, songwriter, producer, poet, and how did you overcome those hardships?
I think the hardest thing is each level you go up is to keep your confidence. This Your confidence has to grow. And if you go up one level and you don't allow your confidence to grow up the level with you as well, that's when all the self doubt comes into. That's when all the I don't know if I'm meant to be here or is this, and you start second guessing things that originally you were just doing. So I think as each step and as each moment in my career, as I got to another place, I really had to step forward with myself and be very thankful for the position that I'm in. I'm understanding that I'm coming from a line where so many people before me have tried to be. So for me to not to take this opportunity and to express myself to the fullest, what I'm not doing everyone else, the people behind me, a service. So I really kept that in front of my head. I kept God at the front of my mind, and I just continued to propel when times were super hard and every artist, every person goes through it. It's always knowing that to follow almost like the mantra that I set before myself with my name. That's why I called it Bipolar Sunshine. As in, there's gonna be dark times, there's gonna be light times, but at the end of the day, there's always gonna be a light at the end of the tunnel. So I always kind of forward and push myself, even though when some things were not going the best, or when I did feel like I wasn't the artist I imagined myself to be. I really took a step back to be super thankful and propel myself forward as much as possible. Sorry.
Mm. So subconsciously, I reckon that this this feeling could change daily, weekly, monthly. Are you able to look back on your work and be like, I drew from this particular moment of feeling this certain way, and as a result, this piece of work was created, and I'm actually thankful that I had gone through that. Otherwise, this evolution of myself wouldn't have happened.
And yeah, there's a few songs that I would definitely landmark. I'd say I wrote a song called "Love More, Worry Less," and the subject matter of me just giving this social commentary was me just having that inner feeling that there's so many things going on around me, and how do I discuss it? How do I put that into some sort of song that people can resonate with? Because when these moments do arrive, how do I react towards them, and how would other people react towards them? And I try to put that together within a song. And the thing, like, I'm a person that once I get it off my chest, I've I've let the I've it's out there for everyone else to have. I feel like I can move on. I'm like, I need to lay it to rest. I need to lay that idea down so it sits there, because I believe that everything that we're creating in this time and space, we have no idea what that's going to be like in the next 100 to 200 years when someone looks back on it. So the more I can leave almost these little prints and little seeds everywhere of what I was thinking and what was going through my actual mind, is more, I believe, that the work of art can last longer.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, yeah. I definitely resonate with that. And I guess another follow up question is, in the process of really reflecting and coming up with these choices to create for certain reasons and moments, how often does commercial success or the thought of what is going to happen with these ideas and thoughts um, come into play? Do they, or do you just, or do you
Mm.
compartmentalize, or do you just free flow every motivation creatively?
Definitely had the time where I've been like, oh, this, how does this song gonna react towards these different people? How, will this, does this sound commercially friendly enough? And then all those songs I made in that type of era, like nothing happened with them because I realized that I was overthinking it. I was trying to appease something that I knew nothing of. And as soon as I got back to just doing what I want to do on the song, not thinking about this needs to be for this needs to be for that, the more successes I had. And that's when everything started to feel just working. And I felt like I am putting something down. And that comes when it can be a sense of self doubt, like, oh, I need to, listen to what everyone's saying in the room. Maybe we need to write the song like this, or take out that line. That line's too quirky, or this line's too this, and this line's too that. And then after a while, you're like, this song doesn't even sound anything like me. Like I've
Mm,
just taken all of me out of the song, and now it's somebody else. And I don't mind the ones where it's like, someone might give me an incredible song to sing, because I do believe that if someone writes an incredible song as a singer, why would you not want to sing it? Most of the top artists that you see around the world and or who have ever been have sung someone else's song at some point. So for me, I'm just always on that position of how can I not be afraid of myself, not to take myself too serious. Because that's a big one. When everyone's just taking themselves so serious in the studio, there's no fun, there's no laughter, there's no joy. I'm like, what are we
hmm
doing? We're making music. Even if I'm writing the saddest song in the world, I'm still gonna have like a moment of laughter and cheerfulness in it now, because I'm understanding that that's not the reason why I can't write the song. The reason why I can write the song is because I'm allowing myself to explore all the emotions. And sometimes I'll explore all the emotions in 1 hour. I might laugh and cry in 10 minutes and still write the song afterwards. That's the way
mm.
I do things. I'm a guy who, from what I write, I pretty much leave my heart on my sleeve. If people don't know me by now, they'll be like, he's trying to say something. And how does that affect other people? Sometimes you don't know how it affects everyone just in the exact time, because some things may not be in the right time to be discovered yet. That's the way I see it. There's
Right.
so many great artists that it takes us maybe 50 to 60 years before some of their work is really appreciated. So knowing that my job is just to create the pieces of art, and then when the world or anyone feels to discover, it's available.
Yeah, I feel like in order to do that too, you have to be a very empathetic, a very sensory type of person in terms of your observations about, like you said, like what's going on in the studio, your environment, vibes, um, people's emotions, um, just the time and feelings as it is at present, and just being a vessel for that. In 2022, you released the album 3034, and it was released towards the end of a global pandemic. I felt a lot of the lyrics were a reflection of how you viewed society through your lens at the time, and you've actually sort of self described the album and the creation of the album as that. Um, that was a pretty intense time. I think we can all sort of agree with that, and I'm not sure how much of
Yeah.
your observations of what was going around you at that time were the inspirations that made their way into the album. But I guess the question is, now that we're sort of a few years after that album release and after this whole thing, how has your view of society changed since then?
My view on society, well, most bar one song, all of those songs were written before the pandemic started.
Gotcha.
So in my mind, I was writing something about something I felt was on the cusp of happening. And then it happened. And then I was like, okay, now I've written a lot of this stuff that feels exactly like what it actually is. And how do I tell that story without, you know, reliving them, trying to make people relive the moment too much because could have been a very traumatic time. So I definitely say that. What was the other part of the question that you said?
The other part of the question is, has your view of society changed since then, since the creation of that work?
My view on society has stayed the same. I feel like yeah, it's exactly the same. It may have been that we feel that we're in a much more lighter space compared to how things were around the COVID times. And I always believed in humanity that we can do great things together, and not and the worst when we're against each other. And that was the same principle that I've always applied. So me creating that album again was just me trying to reflect what I felt was around me and laying down a benchmark for what was happening socially around that time. Because sometimes we need pieces of art to represent the time so we can look back on it. And hopefully that album's a piece that people eventually, look back on.
Right on. Yeah, I mean, in the song Answers,
Yeah,
one line stuck out to me, and I was wondering what the significance of it was.
yeah,
And the line is ayahuasca crushed up with aspirin.
yeah.
What is the significance of that?
So the significance of that line is that the aspirin plays the role of something that is being made in a lab. And then the ayahuasca is the same drug aspect, but is something that is natural. And when you put those two things together, it's almost like the way that we're living right now. We're living in a very AI controlled situation, but we're still trying to hang on to our natural essences. So by putting the ayahuasca and the aspirin together, when you crush that all up together, how we're living right now is what you see.
Gotcha. Um, yeah, thank you for clarifying that because I really love that line. But
Yeah.
and I have uh, sort of my own take on what it means to myself. But then when you explain it from sort of your lens, yeah, I really like that. It's really cool.
And that's what I think is great that about art is that music, but whoever's standpoint is, or whoever you think it is to you, what it means to you is what's the most important thing. But I think I can say, oh, it means X, Y, and Z, but what it actually means, if it's significant to you in a certain different way, that's the most important thing. Because creating is not for the person to say, well, it's this, and if you don't feel this, then you're not really appreciating and understanding the art correctly. I take it from the completely opposite. I'm like, this is out here for you to make up your mind about it. I know what I know. I know what I was trying to say, but however you feel about it is the best way.
Yeah. Speaking of which, um, the narrative that I have a question about is in the song American Dream.
Mm.
And it's a two-part question. First one is, who is she? Second part is, as someone who moved to America from Manchester, is the American dream what it seems?
First question. She is America, and I'm referring to her as a something that has mystified me and seen it and been attracted to it in some sort of an allure way. And then to order to reveal itself to not be exactly what the picture that was painted. So I feel like the concept of the American dream is um is on an individual basis based on how this country may or may not have treated you. And showing you that you can achieve whatever you want here. My viewpoint on the American dream has almost just been a whirlwind. Some aspects have been a dream, some aspects have been a nightmare, but I feel like that's just how life goes. So that's my take on it. And the American dream, to have a song from Manchester saying, you know, the American dream to me is just me signifying a point and place in my life right now whereby I'm living in a completely classed as foreign country to myself, and I'm reaching towards this goal that everyone else in this place is trying to reach towards their goal, and the race towards it is fierce and is fast, and it takes no prisoners. So knowing that is, you know, the reason why I added those trumpets sounding where it just feels monumental, and just like this swooning Frank Sinatra-esque vocal I try to deliver. You know, I just want it to feel grand.
Gotcha. Do you notice the changes from the boy in Manchester who had the American dream to now you are somewhat living it and you've experienced the dream states and the nightmare states that you said? Do you notice the changes in yourself overall?
A lot of like who I was in Manchester compared to who I am now. I feel like I'm rekindling recently myself back of being just like carefree. I think I go through a stage where you're very reserved, you're trying to put all these pieces together, you're meeting all these different people. And once you get over all of that, you're just like, I'm back to myself. Like, this is just, I still talk to most of my friends from Manchester on most days. I'm still there. I feel like you have to grow, and growth is important for any friendships, for anything. And if you can grow with the people that still feel that they're still with you as well, that's a bonus.
Yeah, that's awesome. One of the most influential songs in your catalog was a collaboration with DJ Snake titled Middle. Studies show that detailed memories of meaningful creations stay with us
Mm-hmm.
for the rest of our lives. Would it be possible to take us on the journey of the moment by moment creation of that song?
Yes, I've gone from being in my studio in Manchester, and this drummer called Woody, who I was working with at the time, he got this piano from like a secondhand store. It was a terrible piano, but we had it in the studio. And I can remember me and my friend called Sam Pyatt, we'd went out, and I went back to the studio about 12 o'clock. And I'm not a great piano player by any stretch of the imagination, but I was looking online, like just play a few chords. And I came up with the first part of the hook. And that was it. And I left it, and I was like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. I left it. So then I've gone to New York, working with this guy called Alias, and he said, do you have any ideas where to start from? And I was like, oh, let me play in that piano thing that I did. Then he was like, oh, okay, that sounds cool. Then he just did the dun, dun, the stabs. And then we just set the mic up. And that's why the first take the take that's on the record right now is the very first take. There's no other take. There's just one recorded. And I've gone in and just hummed the melodies for the verses, and then just sat with it for a second, wrote them, put the first down. Then we went back to the hook, and as we were trying to break the hook down, I was trying to get it to the point where it had a penultimate ending. So then we worked out that from those first beginning chords that I'd started with, that because they weren't that great, he changed them up. And once he changed the chords, as you hear now on the record, I was able to find that note that was to be the boom, done. And as soon as I said it's you in the middle, done. That was a great moment. Had the record then done, sent the record off to Snake. Snake messaged back. So it was actually a guy called who's working at BMG at the time. He basically put the record together. He sent it off to Snake. Snake messaged me back on Twitter saying, "Hey, heard this record you're doing called Middle. Sounds incredible. I want to release it as a single." At this point, I knew who Snake was, but I didn't know that much about DJ Snake. I'm in Manchester, so I didn't really know. So then it comes round to October and it's getting to near release time. And then my phone's starting to get a lot of, messages like, oh, this song, DJ Snake, middle, blah, 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 blah. And at the time, I'm about to have a child at this time. So I remember painting the song had come out. And I think the day the song came out, I knew it was going to be life changing. Like the actual day it came out, I just knew it was life changing because the response was so overwhelming. Like number one and everything, just like vroom. It was like it just shut the place down, and that's when I felt like, oh wow, I've really wrote a song that's about to touch people right now. And it was like the next day, hundreds of people are doing covers. I'm like, what is going on? And one of the best moments of it was I'm painting this wall in Manchester with my friend Simeon, and then Snake sends me this video, and it's just this video of him playing the song. I think it was like he was in India or something. Like, it was at a festival. This is like a month after release, and it was just like loads of people just singing this song. And I can remember looking outside this window in this house in Manchester, and being like, wow, the juxtaposition right now. Like he's doing that, and I just, I'm here, and I'm so grateful for those moments that I really got to like reflect. And then I think the song within like 3 months had gone platinum in Australia and in America. And I remember being on a 256 bus going into the city centre, and I was sat next to this old woman. And I looked at my phone and it went, oh, you've gone platinum in so and so. And I think I must have had about £200 in my account at that time. And I was like, oh wow. Like that was just an incredible 15-minute like drive into town thinking, what? Like no one on this bus knows what just happened just right now. So it was incredible. And now looking back on it, I really enjoyed that moment. Before, sometimes I'd be a bit like hard on myself to not even like think about it because I'm always trying to think of the next thing. But really thinking about it, I was like, that was some incredible times.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, from painting to being on the bus, and you're in this environment that, is just sort of like your everyday sort of living. But then out there's this thing that came directly from you that you had laid down, just you were creating as you always did, but somehow this takes off. And like you said, there's this juxtaposition. um what 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 went through your mind in terms of, you know like, was there a voice that said, this is it, this is the one, I'm no more painting for me, or I don't know, was there something like that?
I think what was telling was once the time I was at when I wrote that song, I wrote three other songs that same week, and there was another song that I thought was incredible. I come back to Manchester, and I sat one of my good friends down called Simeon, who was still one of my best friends now, and I played in the three songs, and I said like, there's this one I wrote called Kings and Queens. This is massive. This song is going to be huge. Blah 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 blah. I played it. He was like, it's all right. I was thinking, what? This song's massive. And I was like, oh, I made this other one called Middle. Just put it on. Because I felt like, oh, it sounds good, but just to understand it. And he was like, no, this is song. This is the song. This is the one. I was like, this one? Yeah, this one. I was like, confused because in my mind, I had a whole different idea. And that just shows like the power of obviously keeping good friends around you, people who can super check you and stuff like that.
Yeah, why do you think that is though? Like the ones that you think are the ones are usually never the ones, and then the ones that you didn't think were the ones turn out to be the ones. Have you ever nailed it? Like this is the one, and then it kind of became the one.
Yeah, I think the one I nailed was when I was in Jamaica with P2J and St. John, and we wrote Brown Skin Girl for Beyonce.
Wow.
And that day, we said we wrote this song. We didn't. We wrote four other songs that same night, and we were like, we're not going to bed until we write the song.
Uh-huh.
Like someone's getting this song, and those four other songs were hot, but we were like, nah, it's not it.
Yeah.
And then when we wrote that song, and then everybody came in the room and we pressed play, we could just see that we wrote something that was knockout.
The reactions.
And I think I've had that a few times where I've been in the studio, almost recently as well. I've been going, this is actually a knockout. And now I've been doing it for such a long time, I'm really understanding what that feeling feels like.
Mm.
And it's a really great feeling to live in when you can step back and say, someone's going to take this song because I know the way I've threaded it, the way the storyline bends and weaves, that it's almost, I wouldn't say impossible, but it's just the storytelling that is compelling would make another artist I know feel like I want to sing that. Because the best songs are, for me, are the ones that I feel like I want to sing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to sing it, it's because I think the song's incredible. If someone releases a song that comes out tomorrow and I hear it, it's incredible. I'm in my mind, I'm gonna want to sing it. That to me is the proof in the pudding
Yeah.
that this is quality.
I think for younger creators that are kind of learning and they're on their journey to discovery, that feeling might not be a familiar feeling for them, because
Oh,
they don't have the reps in, or they haven't experienced that feeling more than once. How would you describe that feeling? Is it just like utmost confidence? Is it like elation? Yeah, like what would you say that is? It's like in your gut. That's in your gut.
is a real gut sensibility that the song feels like it ends without hesitation. You get to the end of the song and there's not a moment where it doesn't all web together. There's no like, oh, that chorus feels a bit long or this verse feels a bit this. When I have that full notion that the song goes from start to finish and I play it and I don't feel like, oh, I need to cut it off early because it's going on for too long, or all these other questions that I'm asking. When I don't have all that, I'm like, hey, cool. This song works. I can put this song on piano right now and I could sing you this right now and you're gonna say this song works. Or you can give me a new production and I could put this same song on it, because my whole methodology is that you can't polish a turd. If it's crap, you just gotta leave it. You gotta go work
Mm,
on it again. And that the feeling of something not being good has to be something that you see within yourself. I've written songs that I feel I should have recorded or released at a certain time, but then I've gone on to write other songs that I can see that I've used those older songs as a platform basis for me to create the next one on. So there's never a wrong moment in creation.
mm,
There's never oh, this song didn't work, because as we're all understanding in this music industry or this industry in general, songs from 50 to 40 years ago are just resurfacing because some kids somehow stumbled across an old song and now they're like, oh, this song's new. Yeah, because it's they were whenever they wrote that at that time, they were into it. And it's gonna transcend this decade or the decade after. It's about making sure that you're putting down something that you feel that you can walk away and say that this is what I've done. And that takes time, and not to feel to rush it, not to feel disheartened. And we all feel disheartened. I think any musician, any artist, anywhere, when they might release something and they want the entire world to hear the song right now, but nobody's hearing it. I have that as well. Where I'm like, oh, I wish more people heard my album. I wish all these different things, but then I sat back and go, okay, maybe it's just not for this set time and place. Let me just keep developing. Let me just keep pushing the boundaries. Let me just keep moving this thing forward as much as possible. So all the young ones who are coming forward and they have an idea, get it out there. Let the world make the decisions for you. Don't hold it back and think, oh, it's not right yet, it's not ready yet. I can remember when I first started off doing Bipolar Sunshine, I'd written the songs 7 months before the first three songs I ever released. I wrote them 7 months before I even put them out. I sat on them for like 6 to 7 months, didn't want to put them out. And then I was like, okay, now it's time. And when I knew it was time, I put them straight onto SoundCloud at the time. And Zane Lowe ripped my first song from SoundCloud and played it on Radio 1 within 2 weeks of me releasing the song. I was like, oh, like it's sometimes that's timing,
Wow.
you know? I'm just a vessel in this. I don't take myself to be the all-seeing eye and know what's going on in all directions. I don't. I just play my part as the vessel. When the idea comes, I try and lay it down. If I can try and release that into the world, that's that's what I feel is my God-given talent, is to be able to feel other people's emotions and have empathy and be able to put that into something that feels palatable for someone else who may be going through that, or to understand that from a different point of view, is what I'm trying to deliver.
That's so great. Yeah, I think you're definitely doing that good work, and just being on the platform, just sharing all of these stories is incredible, and it's a testament to show that show your heart, and not only that, to show that you did go through a lot of the plight that a lot of the up and comers are sort of facing. Even though we have resources and that kind of thing, there's still a lot of that self doubt that you talked about on the daily basis. Um, when I guess like the last follow up question I have on that in that regard is, did it make sense to wait to post the songs after 7 months, or do you look back and like, man, I should have just done it. I should have just put it out there as soon as possible.
I really wish I would have made the three songs, and I didn't make such of a big thing about the release, and I should have just released them 2 months after, maybe a month after releasing them. And that was, I think I had a game plan of contacting different people and all of these different things, and I just threw that out the window, and I just was like, I'm just putting this out, and then
Mm.
that was it. It could be realizing that you can't do what you want it to do for you if you don't release it. That's what my
Mhm.
methodology is now. As I can talk the world about a song, but if that song is not released into the world, it's just another idea that's just left there that could have taken you to the next level, but you decided to not go there. And you decided to like wait on it for so long that by the time you got around to it, you don't want to release it. Because obviously I knew a song would sound a lot more entertaining and refreshing. But really, the time you probably made the first one, you should have released that.
So good. So good. I'm not even going to ask the last question of the main question section, which is, can you pass on a technical tip to music creators? Because I feel like what you had just kind of went through there that's a gem. And I think everybody that's listening who is going through that, that doubt of putting your stuff out there, putting yourself out there, because I guess it's a fear, right? It's a fear of rejection.
Is this good enough? How are people going to receive it? Who's gonna who's gonna look at it? Who's gonna laugh at it? What are my friends gonna say? You know, the thousands of things that go through my mind and other. I can imagine go through every single artist's mind. But almost when you think about it, is that if you're releasing this music, I feel like some people have to get over that. You're not releasing this music for just your family and friends.
Mm-hmm.
And once you take your family and friends out of the equation and you see the world, because you're releasing music to the world. You're not releasing it to one section of the world. The world is a big, big place with billions of people on it. Like, let billions of other people have the opportunity to decide whether this is a good song or not, rather than, oh, because one friend said that this wasn't good, I'm not going to release it to billions of people. When you really like flip it on its side, you start to think, huh? Why would I not release this? Who cares what my local community might say? Because now the world is your local community. Me and you are having this conversation right now. This is, we are making our own communities. The sense of community is no longer just the people that just live on your street and in your area. It's broader, it's worldwide now. So then people should really take that ethos and apply that to the way that they see their art.
Amen.
Yeah.
Can we move into the rapid fire round?
Yep.
Nice. So this is just a series of questions that we ask everybody, and it's always incredible to hear different people's perspectives on these questions, because everybody has a different background and everybody approaches things differently. So the first question in the Sonic.ly rapid fire round is, what DAW do you use and why?
I use Logic Pro. I think I like the way that I can set up to record vocals because I'm mainly recording vocals. A lot of people who use Pro Tools using that for vocals, but for me, it's the easiest DAW that I can use to get vocals down and simple melodic ideas.
Beautiful. Question 2, favorite plugins?
I love Little Alter Boy. It's super simple, and the scope of what it can do for my vocal is incredible. That and Vocal Synth. I like Vocal Synth too.
Beautiful. Awesome. Third question, what is a sound that always brings you joy?
Ooh, I think it's called a gueco. It's like a certain sound that's in Brazilian ballet folk music. It's like, as soon as I hear that sound, I'm sold. I'm like, yes, I'll put that sound in every song.
That's sick. I love it. I love it. Number 4, how would you rank your music creator skill sets out of 10 for the following? Beat making,
3,
lyric writing,
8,
sound design,
5,
mixing,
2,
top lining,
9,
music theory,
1,
arranging.
9.
Nice. You got a mix of humility and championing like what you do well, I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Number 5, what is your reaction, your facial expression when you know you made some heat?
That, like, yeah. That's usually the facial expression, like, that was
Ah,
hot. Yeah.
nice. Number 6, what is the secret to staying relevant?
Believing that you're irrelevant is actually going and being open to hearing everything, whether it's the genre you love or don't, being open to hearing things and not feeling like, oh, this is young people music or this is old people music. I don't believe in that. So there's certain things that you just have to listen. Don't be afraid to listen.
Dope. Number 7, if AI technology was somehow able to take over our jobs as music creators, what new career path would you choose?
I'll probably be a football coach, a soccer coach. I just train people to play soccer. I'd enjoy that. my middle soccer team.
Nice. Are you a player? Like, do you play?
I enjoy. Yeah, my son plays as well, so I'll probably just coach him.
That's so good. Nice. Cool. Well, we're down to our last rapid fire round question, and this is all you. What's next for Bipolar Sunshine? Anything you want to promote?
Yeah, thanks. The next thing for Bipolar Sunshine, I've got quite a few releases scheduled for this year of Bipolar Sunshine stuff. I'm also working on another project called Green Curtis, which is like an indie version of myself. And with that, there's going to be a comic, which is going to be of Bipolar Sunshine and Green Curtis together that they go on this fantastical adventure. I'm working on another project called Major Audio Sunshine, which is like a pop reggae project. So those three things musically and looking to bring different artists into my great publishing world as well. So that's what my visions are for the next years and the years beyond.
Wow, that's incredible. You got so much going on.
Yeah, staying busy, gotta stay busy.
Yeah, staying busy, doing your thing, and
Yeah,
yeah, I really wish you all the best with all those projects. And you've already had such an amazing, wild ride on this music creator journey, and I can foresee so many more incredible things for you. You're just such a talented guy, and you're just such a warm-hearted person, and a guy that everybody wants to root for. So we're rooting for you, and yeah, I just want to thank you again for coming on the podcast and sharing your story. And I truly believe, like you said, if you were putting stuff out there, you never know when it's gonna connect with somebody's ears that might need to hear the stuff that you've talked about today. So thank you once again.
thanks so much. Pleasure having me, and I hope the audience enjoy the rest of the interview.
Thank you so much. Okay, well, we'll catch you later.
See you.